Let's go! How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? No mames. Previously on Kimba TV. And last but not least, I would want S&P to be helping me out if I'm going to take a long. Do you remember in the morning, like 5 hours ago, we were already talking about something like this? If this actually holds and it gets back above here, or actually even above the point of control, then I don't think the short is coming today. Or like, I don't think the nuke is going to happen today. Maybe it might be tomorrow. For the nuke to happen, or the continued bearish movement down, I need S&P to lose this level. That's been the plan since 4.5 hours ago. No mames. How we doing? Good morning, lions. Generational juice chat. Generational. All right, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we're waiting for down here, but the one thing that could potentially do something will be the swing fail. So let's see if there is a swing fail and cleans the, just right through the Mexico border, right back. All right, but, once we break here, oh yeah, it's going to be quick. It's going to be quick. Y'all ready? Y'all ready for that generational juice? Token Tickler says, do we have line at 92.93? Yes. Make sure you're caught up on yesterday's highlights. I showed all the levels, and I said, if you need them, take a screenshot. Yep. We have levels all the way to 78, Token Tickler. Yeah, still not too late. Exclamation YouTube. Mars Biker says, how are you managing your hedge long? I explained it all pixel perfect yesterday. If you want to watch the highlights real quick, it's probably not too late. Yeah, literally talked about where the stop loss was and why. And it's like a really nice 30-minute, 20-minute explanation. If you want to get in the highlights, exclamation YouTube. Yeah, for you to even be asking me that, you must have missed a whole bunch yesterday. So I want you to get caught up. There's a lot of valuable stuff that we talked about around that conversation. Mars Biker. Yeah. If you just want like the short answer, I bet somebody in chat could help you out. But there's a lot of alpha that I explained in that conversation. Yeah. Mainly, my biggest thing that I contributed, Mars Biker, was pretty sure we're going to get stopped out on the long. And I explained why I thought that and what we were going to do about that. Yeah, so including where you could shave a little bit and what your stop loss and profit would be, Mars Biker. Yep, and pretty much I do the same thing every single time. So if you understand that, you'll never have to ask me about an 886 or a 7.5 long again. Alrighty, Mars Biker. It's not too late. Obviously, FOMC is like 6 hours from now, so you still have time to rewind. Medi says, do you plan on streaming in 2K on Twitch? I heard it's beta for some streamers. Yeah, so actually a couple months back, we were already testing it, Medi. Yes. The problem is I use a Mac to stream. All right, and with Mac, they don't have the enhanced broadcast. So when I stream in 2K, it doesn't downscale to 1920 by 1080. So I can stream at 4K, but everybody has to watch me at 4K. There is no 1920 or other resolution options since I'm streaming from a Mac. I would have to do it with an NVIDIA graphics card. So that's why it's actually 1440p on YouTube, and I could do YouTube on 4K, but I don't have the Twitch on 2K or 4K. It's on 1920 by 1080. Even that, Medi, we did it last week, and I was explaining this to you guys. Do you remember when we first put out V2? But yeah, if you go to the YouTube though, it'll be it's not 2K, but it's 1440p. Yes, sir. Everything talked about, everything discussed. Ka-cha! J6 says, I can see how they can trap bottom shorters losing 100K for sure. Yep. So we'll be looking at 98K. We're also going to be looking at bottom shorters coming in here because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to, cheap out on this move. And there could be bottom shorters that get trapped right there for a swing fail, and that could be it too.
One thing my trainer, he told me.
All right. Well, obviously, we are 36 minutes away. So I'm just continuously moving my stop loss into profit. This is the first area where we could clean the bad low and then spring. And that would be, kind of similar to the Bitcoin SFP, right? Like we talked about, once 6036 is lost without an SFP, okay, then I think it's going to be, I have a chance to juice the fuck up. How many of you were here for the last night? The last night's stream? How many of you guys were here last night? Oh my goodness. Wiz, what do you think about this, bro? Token, what do you think about this? Niker, what do you think about this? Do you think I could get lucky, dude? Maybe I could get lucky, dude. Oh! 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bugatti! Let's go! Kachaya! Let's get it! Hey, Bugatti! SFP! Bugatti! Here we go! Juice it, Chad! Juice it! Here we go! What the fuck is this? Commercial shit off. Let's go! How we doing? You guys ready for this shit? Grim says out season canceled this year. I wouldn't be too quick about that. Latisse, Tigran, Doobie, Operator, Samuel. What'd you guys think about FOMC? Let's go! Mark Busalo. Martin says dud FOMC. No. But I mean, this is why we said, do you want me to stick around for the whole night? Dude, we knew that it wasn't going to do anything like all the way until, I would say, maybe 20 minutes before market close. So watch for volatility in like 13 minutes. And then, during power hour, like the last 20 minutes of power hour. And then Macaulay should make a gap. Yeah. So the most important things are the things that we always talk about. Be prepared, be patient, be disciplined. Don't get got. Be on the 30-minute candle closes. Make sure you understand where the volume point of control, the TPO point of control, the VWAP, all that shit that would help you, bullish or bearish. Always be ready to go. Don't get got. Yeah, but it's totally up to you guys on if we should just end the stream in 33 minutes. If you want to kick it until Macaulay, through Macaulay. Yeah, but if and if you've been kind of prepping, we actually want volatility during Macaulay today. We want a gap during Macaulay. I hope that makes sense. And we have 30 minutes and change or whatever the fuck, like 32 minutes left. Yeah, now it's time to get going, my boy. Now it's time to get going. Yeah. So if Macaulay doesn't gap, then you do realize that it might even be like Monday for like the 98 or lower. Like it could just kind of bleed all the way. So there might not be the swing fail long or the 98 long or the 102 SFP long today. And remember, tomorrow is a US holiday. Traditional markets are closed. So it's an extended Macaulay. Catch it? What is Macaulay? It's when traditional markets are paused, brother. Did you know that an hour after U.S. markets close, so 5 o'clock in New York, the futures will pause? That includes S&P futures, that includes NASDAQ, that includes Bitcoin CME. And then when it pumps or dumps, okay, during while CME is paused, that's how you can get a CME gap. And that's what I'm saying. There should be a bearish gap today. So obviously we can't predict the future, but that would make it bearagio. Yeah, so there should be no talk about like, oh my God, that was a dud. What do you mean? We're juicing the fuck up. I'm staring at this motherfucker like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Can I get a pop pink? Should I pop pink here, the whole thing or not?
I said, are you strong? They said,
Vilfa says 101, 101.420 would be juice. Yeah, like 101.5, 101.4, right? But it really doesn't, does it really matter how low it goes? What you really want, Vilfa, is the 102.5 to hold, right? It's got to snap back above 102.5, right? Does it really matter how low it goes, Vilfa? As long as it snaps back above value area low, right? Gemini says, "Can I join you on your 100K to 1 mil challenge?" I don't see why not. Question: how you find proper point to take the trade? I mean, usually I have good outlook. Sure. What I like to do, Prismecum, is I like to identify levels first. Step 1, ID levels. So that's volume, time, and math. So a volume-based level would be something like fixed range, volume profile, value area high, point of control, value area low. Okay? Something like VWAP. Okay? Volume weighted average price. Okay? TPO. Time price opportunity. How much time does it spend at each level? Volume tells you at this price, there was this much volume, right? At this price, there was this much volume, right? TPO tells you at this price, it spent this much time. At this price, it spent this much time. At this price, it spent this much time. And then fibs, mathematical levels like swing low, swing high, 886, 618, 618. So the areas that line up, for example, VWAP and Golden Pocket, okay, those would have significant levels that I would be interested in. Now, I don't actually say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and long here, or I'm going to go ahead and short here. I'm never trying to predict the future. I have no fucking clue. Okay? But I think there's a couple things that you can look at data-wise that might give you a bump in the probability that it could reject or support. So for example, some people are going to be like, yo, that's a W. Well, it's who gives a fuck what it looks like? Do you have edge? Okay? So for example, if the price action does this, but the divergence is this, on this one, it's this, and on this one, it's this, which one is more bullish? A, this is the price. This is CVD or RSI. Scenario A, scenario B. This one is actually bullish because you have a bull div. So it doesn't really matter what the shape is. What is the edge? Okay, so there's RSI divergence, there's CVD divergence, there is open interest divergence, there is MACD divergence. Any oscillating data can have divergence. Okay, well, what does divergence mean? Everybody should type in something like CVD divergence cheat sheet or RSI divergence cheat sheet. You can have the uptrend, so if it's pumping, the uptrend might be getting exhausted. If it's pumping, it might be getting absorbed. If it's dumping, the dumping might be getting exhausted. If it's dumping, the dumping might be getting absorbed. The metaphor that I like to give, that we like to use, is imagine you're a king in your castle and you're getting attacked. You can watch your walls either get completely destroyed and you can go, uh-oh, we need to get the fuck out of here. Or you can see that your walls are completely impenetrable and you can just say fuck you to the enemy and stay put. So with the combination of divergence, then you can take a look at open interest, net longs, net shorts. Who opened where? For how much? Where did longs open? Where did shorts open? If shorts opened here and you can tell that the open interest hasn't closed, okay, they're juicing. If longs opened up here and they haven't closed, they're clearly underwater. So you can do things like, well, I want a long here, but I see that there's hundreds of millions of dollars in longs underwater. I don't have edge, so I'm not going to long here, even though this is where I wanted a long. Or vice versa. I want a long here, and I can see that all the underwater longs got stopped out. On top of that, I have a bullish div. The downward trend is exhausted. Let me try taking a long here. And that's how I get into positions. So there's three things that I look at to figure out where I might want a long or short. Volume-based levels, time-based levels, mathematical-based levels. Obviously, the more overlap that I have, it's a stronger level. If it's just a Fibonacci level, I don't think it's worth longing. But if it's a VWAP, if it's a value area low or a point of control, there's single prints there, and it's the 7.5, holy shit, maybe that's worth longing. Roger that. Once it gets to that level, I'm looking at three things again: open interest, divergence, and structure. Obviously, if it's just one edge, probably not good enough to take it. It's your call. This is where your risk appetite comes into play. Do you want to get Fibonacci? It's up to you. If I get all three edge at the level where all three types of levels converges, you're probably safe to assume that I took that long or short. Okay? Once I get into the trade, I'm going to switch to smaller time frame, like 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute, and I'm going to wait for structure to change. Once the structure changes, meaning it's made a higher high, I'm going to be expecting a higher low. So God willing, Sato willing, my entry is better than a 7.5 or a 7.86 pullback. I can put my stop loss at break even. The rest is up to the price action to stop me out, round trip me, or maybe once in a blue moon, we'll get lucky and it'll go for our home run target. And it's just rinse and repeat every day. And the taking the trade or preparing for it, not that hard. The hard part is never ever slipping up, and every single trade you do the right thing. No matter how confident you are, you put your stop loss at break even. If you're really antsy or pissy about getting round tripped, all you need to do is thinking about plan B and plan C and have a preparation on if you do get stopped out or round tripped, how would you go about chasing it again? You know, how far are you going to allow yourself to chase it before it becomes out of control? So a lot of it is just preparation, you know, and not letting yourself fuck your own self. You know, like if your plan was to wait for that level to get hit, then wait for it. Don't sacrifice your, cancel your 7-5 entry all because you're seeing a nice little bump from the golden pocket. Oh, fuck, it's not going to come to the 7-5. And then guess what? 15 minutes later, it comes back to the 7-5. Now your goofy ass is a little bit in the red and you're thinking to yourself, fuck, why couldn't I just wait? Yeah, why couldn't you? I don't know, probably because you got greedy. And even if you fuck up like that, everybody has an opportunity to be honest with themselves and say, I can either not do that again or I'm destined to lose forever. So, Bugatti! But let's go, Akira. Akik says, I do have levels to the downside and upside, and the data is everything that I've learned being here. Got you. Got you. Yeah. So, so you want to? Well, I want you to be a little bit more specific than that. But 1019 is where the single print is, right? Did you see like the 1015 confluence when I drew the value area low? So like, if it is gonna swing fail, 1027, the 1015 is kind of 1014 is kind of interesting, right? And then you know where the single print is. Don't really worry so much about the derivative single prints. It's going to be more about the CME single print. Fred, you good? Ayo Gains. Happy 420. Korun, Pangu, Johnny Kingslow, Mark. Oofy says, yo, thanks for holding it down for another FOMC. It's my pleasure. Thank you for stopping by for another FOMC, Oofy. I wish we could have gotten a really much more significant volatile move, like a $5,000 move up or down. Because we could have all pinked on like an SFP long, or we could have all pinked on our, move up towards making an all-time high. But as we kind of know, right, Ofi, because you've been here for almost a year now, you and I both know that the juiciest thing is going to happen when people least expect it, right? That's why. Oh, whoa, whoa. Younger Sue, he not reeve yet. Younger Sue, you idiot, he not reeve yet. Yo, Lions, wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Shh. No, but I'm trying to, isn't it rare that I'm here for this long? I've been streaming for 12 hours. Oh my God, S&P is going to juice me up. Oh my gosh, everybody shut the fuck up. Yes! Everybody shut up! Especially that dickhead that said, I'm going to short here. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Please don't. You're going to long right here. Get fucked. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Please. All right, let's not get too carried away. God damn, this is blue balling me so hard. There's the gap. I got a little TP. I got one TP. These motherfuckers playing with me, chat. JV says that it ends up with long being on Monday. JV, you know what would be hilarious? Maybe we see the bounce off of 7.5, right? Which would kind of be bullish. They fuck around, they go clean 106, swing fail auction for the next 48 hours. Clean it on Monday, it's a bad low. Stopped out, round tripped, have to enter it, but chase it. Shittier entry on Tuesday. Up close to $1 million on Wednesday. round trip for 5K on Thursday. Probably something like that. All right, but no, for real, JV, all jokes aside, let's kick. I'm going to kick it for one more hour. If we see the 7.5 reaction, that's awesome. If we don't, whatever. I'll be back early again tomorrow too, so. But, so what is your plan on this? If this hits 7.5, you're not going to put blind limits in. You're going to wait for structure change, and you're going to market smash post only before or until golden pocket. And you're not going to chase it higher than golden pocket. Is that correct? Whatever the low is, the structure low, that's your stop loss invalidation. You're going to wait for 5-minute or 15-minute structure change for stop loss and profit. What are you going to do? Since you're tired, you're probably going to just do 5-minute. Am I right? And then walk away and hope that you're not round trip tomorrow. Anybody want to go over what their plan is if they're trying to get a scalp long before the low is cleaned? Gamma School. Ricky. How many of y'all heard what I just said and everything that I just said made sense? Haskir says, what's getting me in here is that we are not making a lower low. Brother, I'm right there with you, my guy. All I would say is, does it need to clean the lows? Have we been left behind on longs because we sat there with our thumbs up our asses talking about that low needs to get cleaned? So it's up to you. You're 100% right. This is like, you just have to make a decision. I don't know how many times you've been left behind on bad lows. I know I've been left behind a million times enough where I'm willing to take a shot on the first one. I don't have a long anymore. Why do you think I'm still here on a 13-hour stream? I don't have a long anymore. So I'll take the 7.5 with JV's sleepy ass. But what I'm really hoping for is a goddamn lower low. Yeah, there's still a small chance we could get it, I think. Yeah, technically, if you're looking at the Bit Unix leaderboard and you're noticing that my P&L is going up and down, I still have a 10 Bitcoin long open on Bit Unix. But considering that my entire aggregate long position was 250 Bitcoin and I only have 10 Bitcoin long left, I'm going to say that it's closed. And I don't have any more long positions. But if you want to be technical, I still have 10 open. Coke Zero says, you considering entry on 7.5? I will consider it, Coke Zero. I don't know if you just got here or not. But basically what I'm saying is going to the 886 would be bearish. And I said if it bounces from 886 and it goes back above the golden pocket, I fucking give up. Okay? I'm going to go find the nearest person that longed 886. I'm going to slap the shit out of him and I'm going to go to bed. That's the plan. Because if it bounces off of 886, it should get rejected off of gold. I'm fucking tired of these lows. Okay? And to be honest with you, if they're really fucking around like that and they're going to leave the lows like that going into the holiday weekend, people like us that are using common sense, we're going to get squeezed. Right? If that bounces on the third 886 higher low, I'm gonna kind of say I think the short squeeze is lining up over the holiday. So, and that's usually what happens when we get left behind because we're waiting for the lows to get cleaned. Yeah, so what I was saying, Coke Zero, was it's a tricky situation because those are poor lows and weak lows and it's unfinished, right? So until you get above 106 convincingly, I think you always have a shot. I think for bears, what you need to look out for is the front run of the sweep, and more importantly, reclaiming the 105.8, 106. Bulls need to be careful of a failed auction structure above 106. Gypsy. Ola Frankie says, can you analyze Solana? I can analyze Solana. Rain check on the first request. I can analyze it. So basically, brother, these are my levels of interest. Okay? These are my levels of interest. What I would recommend that you do is so VWAP and volume profile. So that means things like, from here to here. Where is the volume? So clearly, point of control, value area high, where they did a fail, bouncing off of point of control. If they lose this, then the most obvious place would be value area low, wouldn't it? From a value perspective. Anchor VWAP from the bottom. This is your minor anchor VWAP. So you've got volume right around here. Okay? Let's go to imbalances, single prints. All right, so there you go. Naked point of control, 125. Untapped single print, 113. Okay. And then last but not least, let's not forget fibs. So after all that being said, this is the zone that I would like to long. All right, Ola Frankie. Somewhere between 120 and 125. It's hard to be exact. But I'm doing the same thing that I always do. I like to look at volume-based levels. I like to look at TPO-based levels. And I like to look at mathematical-based levels. So the level is easy to find. Does that mean we're putting blind limits in right there? No. I'm not putting blind limits in there. I don't have blind limits there. If I'm going to be longing a lower high, a higher low, what bullish edge am I ultimately looking for? That would be a hidden bull div, right? So from a divergence standpoint, I want a hidden bull div. From an open interest perspective, what would be something that would be bullish? All the underwater longs get stopped out. All the shorts come in right at the bottom and they're immediately trapped. Okay? Structure-wise, I talked about a trident. So potentially something like this, where you might see a bounce before the entirety of the box is filled. Okay, but you want to see some sort of structure change. So that's it. Ola Frankie. And if we get down there and I don't have any data, I won't long it. If I get the data that I want, I will long it. And what I'll do is I'll go into the 5-minute, 15-minute, and I'll let the low form. I'll let a higher high come in, and most likely this lower high, whether it's the 0.5 golden pocket or the 7.5, that's what you're going to see me in. So most likely if it's a failed auction, I'm going to be in here. If it's a trident, I'm going to try to be in here. But either way, I want the lower low to be my invalidation. So I'll try to have that come in first. I don't want to try to do this and then get papinked and then try to be panicking on this. So I'll see it through. But that's daily candle, by the way. And you know what's really cool? Did you know that that's been the plan for a very long time? you can see that the lows got shittier, right? Unfinished lows. If you don't get it, let me know. And I'm still going to be here tomorrow. I don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow or not. It is a holiday after all, as you probably know. But at this point, since the lows are weak and poor, cleaning those single prints would be more bullish now than leaving them behind. Because it's one thing to leave single prints behind with a really good buying tail, but it's a whole different ballgame if you have a whole bunch of imbalances underneath unfinished lows. You with me so far? I got pretty much stopped out in profit on every long I had. I don't know if you heard me earlier or even a couple days ago, but do you remember my my whole long position size? Out of the 250 Bitcoin, 248 or whatever, I only have 10 Bitcoin long only open on BitUnix left. I don't have any more longs open from the blue box. Okay? If you put a gun to my head, I still think those lows get swept. Do I want it swept on a holiday when CME, RTH, and ETH isn't running? No. Are we going to have CME, ETH running for holiday hours? Yes. So we have to finesse the timing a little bit of it. Does the low need to be RTH? No. So I'm okay with a low tomorrow. I'm locked in. I've actually been kicking it for 15 fucking hours, hoping that we get an SFP right now. Yeah. Now, is there a chance, RG Bargy? Because if it makes a lower low and if it cleans the single prints and if it's an SFP, dude, I know you can do that in your sleep, right? What would be a little bit more challenging is if it front runs the cleaning the lows and if it just leaves those fucked up lows like that and it goes. So what are some possibilities where we might need to chase this bitch? Well, the first thing is this fib that you saw us looking at. Okay? So for it to have a chance to make a higher high, RG Bargy, you know, and I know, and your puppy knows that it's got to turn golden pocket into support, right? So if that turns, if spot is going to turn golden pocket into support, then I would say that you need to chase it before you break above the 75786 so that you can get in on the ride before they clean those highs up there, right? If it goes to the downside, obviously the low is ass, right? It's a fucked up low. That's going to get cleaned. So if you want to play the probability of leaving the lows like that and still being able to get into a long, you're looking at the 7.5. And that also lines up with the 30-minute previous SR flip. So if you believe that you need to be in a long just in case they're going to leave you at the train station and go without cleaning the lows, then the 7.5 is the best. Was about to ask about longing with those high being so close. So yeah, so I think you've got one setup. This is the Binance golden pocket on the smaller. So this is the Coinbase one that you saw me draw like this, right? This one. And then this is the smaller range. This one, Binance fib, and this is the golden pocket. So you've got multiple. This is how you would have to chase the long if it's not going to go any further down, right? Because you need to take it before you're going to make a higher high. What would be something that gives you an increase in probability that it's going to make a higher high? Why are you front running a higher high? That's your failed auction setup, right? Like this is fair game for a bullish retest even after a higher high. So it all kind of depends on what you think the probability of a pullback is. This, you don't even have to worry about this if it holds this. And what we did earlier, RG Bargy, was we talked about a couple things that would make you pull back deeper than, say, this. And it would be things like hidden bear div, because what kind of divergence is it if it's bearish, but it's a lower high? That's going to have to be a hidden bear div, right? Hidden bear div, top longing, you're probably looking at going back below this level for the bullish retest. If you have no reason for anybody to short here, you're probably going to be looking at a bullish retest of the failed auction. It'll look clean. The only thing that I would just remind you is the last time that we had a holiday in the middle of the week, nobody gave a shit for that week. Or excuse me, nobody gave a shit for that holiday, and nobody gave a shit on Friday when markets came back. So whether it wants to leave the low like this, pop, and then do like a crazy big failed auction above 106, just like last or 3 weekends ago, if you remember, it's this. This was on a different level, but even kind of like this. So any sort of like bearish shit, I don't care if it's a 3 drives, I don't care if it's a head and shoulders, I don't care if it's a failed auction, but you would be looking just to make sure that you're not going to get that up top, just like we've had before. Yeah, but I'm not really worried about a short RG Bargy because I have Pixel Perfect top short. I don't have any more longs open except for the 10 from BitUnix. So there is a good chance that tomorrow when I show up, since this is the lower bound of this range, and then if I go like this, basically I'm giving myself, whoops. So I know that this is the minimal golden pocket, meaning that this is this range one, not the big daddy one. So bouncing off of here would be bullish. And this is basically where I would have to try to get most of my entries before I have to be thinking that's going to get cleaned, that's going to get cleaned, and that's going to get cleaned. And then I would probably TP a little bit right here at the single print, just in case it just cleans all of the weekly highs, the pre-FOMC shorts, right? And then keep going. If we're going to be going to 116 or 115 or any of these levels, really, let's just say 115, 113, right? Think about this. This is what it looks like to argue between your entry. I got 103.5. I got 104. I got 104.5. I got 105. I don't think it really matters for the most part. Yeah, but the bearish argument would be, again, you have weak and poor lows on top of imbalances. So that's going to increase the chance of getting swept. And you're spending time and building value. And it's probably not going to matter too much, but I also like this. Yeah, so as long as you hold this, you're always going to have a chance. Hey, what an amazing day. I had a blast. Truly had a blast. I hope you guys did too. Longers, bulls, shorters, bears, we're all lions. Rooting for you guys. Let's go. Lock in. Another day tomorrow. Holiday hours tomorrow. Goofy, low volume tomorrow. Let's lock in. Let's lock in. Can we give it up for Houston Cage? I love you guys. Have a great night. Peace. Everybody stay safe. Can I get it last? Kachaya!